Hola y bienvenidos a la clase del español. Este video es parte de la N.L.L.S, Programa para Estudiantes de Idiomas. Este video instructivo es para el Español 1, Cuento C, Parte 2. Hello and welcome to your Spanish class. This video is part of the N.L.L.S program for language learners. This instructional video is for Spanish 1, Story C, Part 2. For this video, you'll need your classroom journal or notebook and something to write with. Feel free to stop, rewind, or fast forward as needed throughout this video. Empecemos. Today's story is titled Los Mellizos. This is part 2 of the story. Before we get into the story, let's take a look at our I can statements and our additional vocabulary that we're going to be using. On the screen, you can see the goals for this story section. These I can statements are the things you should be able to communicate by the end of this section. As you can see, they're broken up into 3 categories: novice low, novice mid, and novice high. These are called levels of proficiency. Proficiency is basically how well someone speaks a language. Understanding these levels of language proficiency and actively working to improve your level of comprehension helps you develop true language proficiency and improves your capacity to communicate and comprehend both the written and the spoken language. In other words, the more practice you put in and the more you use the language, the better you're going to get, and the more you'll be able to communicate in the language. Pause the video and write your I can statements in your notebook or journal. Now let's take a look at some vocabulary. On the screen, there's some additional vocabulary words and expressions that we're going to be using and incorporating into the story. Don't worry about what they mean yet, we'll be coming back to them shortly. Pause the video and take a few minutes to copy them into your notebook or journal. Now let's take a look at our story. Here's your story for C2. Pause the video again and take a few minutes to copy this story into your notebook or journal. Now that you have your story written down in your notes, I'm going to read the story to you slowly. Focus on each word as I say them out loud. Pay attention to the way each word sounds. Nuestra madre se llama Marisol y nuestro padre se llama Marcos. Vivimos en San Salvador. San Salvador es la capital de El Salvador. Es una ciudad muy grande y bonita. Somos estudiantes en el Colegio Internacional. Now I'll read it again a little faster. After, I'll read it at a normal conversational speed. Nuestra madre se llama Marisol y nuestro padre se llama Marcos. Vivimos en San Salvador. San Salvador es la capital de El Salvador. Es una ciudad muy grande y bonita. Somos estudiantes en el Colegio Internacional. Nuestra madre se llama Marisol y nuestro padre se llama Marcos. Vivimos en San Salvador. San Salvador es la capital de El Salvador. Es una ciudad muy grande y bonita. Somos estudiantes en el Colegio Internacional. This time I want you to read it along with me. As I say each sentence, repeat it out loud, making sure you're pronouncing the words as correctly as you can. Nuestra madre se llama Marisol y nuestro padre se llama Marcos. Vivimos en San Salvador. San Salvador es la capital de El Salvador. Es una ciudad muy grande y bonita. Somos estudiantes en el Colegio Internacional. Rewind the video and do it again until you're comfortable with the words and how they sound. You can record yourself and play it back if you want to. Just work on your pronunciation. Now that you have the pronunciation down, let's start the lesson. You'll need to follow along with me, repeat when you need to, follow all of the instructions and cues, and just have fun with it. Remember, you can always stop, pause, and rewind as much as you need to make sure you're understanding. Vamos. Let's start with your first sentence. Nuestra madre se llama Marisol y nuestro padre se llama Marcos. As you learned in your last session, nuestro means our and will always be followed by a noun. In the first sentence, the noun that follows it is madre. Since madre is singular and feminine, we use the form nuestra, our mother, nuestra madre. So in the first part of the sentence, nuestra madre se llama Marisol, it is our mother's name is Marisol. In the second part, the noun padre is singular and masculine, so they use the form nuestro, nuestro padre, or our father. So in the second part of the sentence, they say, our father's name is Marcos. Nuestro padre se llama Marcos. If we were to ask questions about them or talk about them, we'd have to switch to the third person and ask, ¿Cómo se llama su madre? What is their mother's name? We would answer with, su madre se llama Marisol. Their mother's name is Marisol. ¿Cómo se llama su padre? What is their father's name? Su padre se llama Marcos. Their father's name is Marcos. Let's look at some more questions we could ask from this sentence. ¿Marisol es su madre o su padre? Is Marisol their mother or their father? Marisol es su madre. Marisol is their mother. Marcos es su madre o su padre? Is Marcos their mother or their father? Marcos es su padre. Marcos is their father. ¿Cuál es su madre, Marisol o Marcos? Which one is their mother, Marisol or Marcos? Marisol es su madre. ¿Cuál es su padre, Marisol o Marcos? You guessed it, Marcos es su padre. Marisol es un hombre o una mujer. Is Marisol a man or a woman? Marisol es una mujer. Marisol is a woman. What about Marcos? Marcos es un hombre o una mujer. Marcos es un hombre. Marcos is a man. Let's focus again on the word nuestro for a minute and look at some more questions we could ask. In your vocabulary, we have a section labeled expresiones or expressions. The first one is se usa. This means you use or one uses, as in you use a car to drive to work, which is the same thing as saying one uses a car to drive to work. You use bread to make a sandwich, or one uses bread to make a sandwich. The next one, para decir, means in order to say. You can use this one with the expression above to say something like, in Spanish, you use alto to say tall, or in English, you use tall to say alto. These would be, en español se usa alto para decir tall, and en inglés se usa tall para decir alto. The third one, describe, is the command describe. It's telling you to describe something. If what you're describing is a person, you're going to have to add something called a personal a. For example, describe a Daniel. Describe Daniel. Daniel es alto y guapo. Daniel is tall and handsome. Describe a Daniela. Describe Daniela. Daniela es alta y guapa. Daniela is tall and good-looking. Describe a la mujer. Describe the woman. La mujer es baja, gorda y fea. The woman is short, fat, and ugly. If you want to describe something that's not a person, you'll not have to use that a before them. Describe el taxi. Describe the taxi. El taxi es amarillo. The taxi is yellow. Describe la manzana. Describe the apple. La manzana es roja. The apple is red. Now, let's use this with our story. Look at this question. Nuestro describe algo femenino o masculino? In this question, describe is not a command. It's not telling you to describe something, but it's asking, what does nuestro describe? Something feminine or masculine? To answer this one, you would say, nuestro describe algo masculino. Nuestro describes something masculine. You may have guessed that algo means something. The next question, nuestra describe algo femenino o masculino? Does nuestra describe something feminine or masculine? Nuestra describe algo femenino. Nuestra describes something feminine. Se usa nuestro para decir our mother or our father. Do you use nuestro to say our mother or our father? Se usa nuestro para decir our father. You use nuestro to say our father. Se usa nuestra para decir our mother or our father. Do you use nuestra to say our mother or our father? Se usa nuestra para decir our mother. You use nuestra to say our mother. So, ¿cuál es masculino? ¿Nuestra madre o nuestro padre? Which one is masculine? Nuestra madre or nuestro padre? Nuestro padre es masculino. ¿Cuál es femenino? ¿Nuestra madre o nuestro padre? Which one is feminine? ¿Nuestra madre o nuestro padre? Nuestra madre is femenino. Nuestra madre is feminine. They continue with the sentence, vivimos en San Salvador. We live in San Salvador. We learned in your previous story that the verb vivir means to live. In this story, we're going to learn how to use it for more than one person. Look at your vocabulary under the section vivir. On the left-hand side, you can see the three forms we already know. Vivo, I live. Vives, you live or do you live. And vive, he, she, or it lives. Everything on the left-hand side is singular. I, you, he, she, and it. On the right-hand side, we have the plural forms. We, you all or y'all, and they. Vivimos is we live. Vivís is you all or y'all live. It's in brackets because this form is only used in Spain and very rarely used in other Spanish-speaking countries. Since it's so rare, we're going to skip this one and go on to the next one. Viven, which will take its place to mean y'all live. We also use viven to say they live. So, whether I'm talking to more than one person or talking about more than one person, I'll use viven. In your story, when Daniel and Daniela say, vivimos en San Salvador, they're talking about themselves, their mother, and their father, so it's, we live in San Salvador. When we ask a question about this sentence, we use they instead of we, so we would ask, ¿Dónde viven? Where do they live? Viven en San Salvador. They live in San Salvador. Viven en Miami. Do they live in Miami? No. Viven en San Salvador. No, they live in San Salvador. ¿Y ustedes dónde viven? And you all, where do you all live? The word ustedes, sometimes abbreviated as capital UDS period, means you all, or, in the South, y'all. You'll use this when you're talking to more than one person. You would answer this question with we live, vivimos. Vivimos en blank. If you live in Chicago, for example, you would say vivimos en Chicago. ¿Ustedes viven en Los Ángeles? Do you all live in Los Angeles? If you do, you would say, sí, vivimos en Los Ángeles. If not, you would say, no, no vivimos en Los Ángeles. What about Daniel and Daniela? ¿Viven en Los Ángeles? No, Daniel y Daniela no viven en Los Ángeles, viven en San Salvador. ¿Qué es San Salvador? What is San Salvador? They continue the story with, San Salvador es la capital de El Salvador. Some questions here could be, ¿Qué es San Salvador? What is San Salvador? San Salvador es la capital de El Salvador. San Salvador is the capital of El Salvador. ¿Cuál es la capital del Salvador? What is the capital of El Salvador? La capital del Salvador es San Salvador. ¿La capital del Salvador es San Juan? No, la capital del Salvador no es San Juan, es San Salvador. Daniel y Daniela go on to describe San Salvador by saying, es una ciudad muy grande y bonita. It is a big and beautiful city. In your vocabulary under misceláneo, we have some other words that can be used with this sentence. Pequeño is small or little. Un pueblo is a town. If we put those two together, we have un pueblo pequeño, a small town. Algo, which we saw a little earlier, means something. In your story, we could ask, ¿San Salvador es un pueblo o una ciudad? Is San Salvador a town or a city? San Salvador es una ciudad. San Salvador is a city. San Salvador es un pueblo pequeño? Is San Salvador a small town? No, San Salvador no es un pueblo pequeño, es una ciudad grande. No, San Salvador is not a small town, it's a big city. What about you? ¿Vives en una ciudad grande o en un pueblo pequeño? Do you live in a small town or a big city? If you live in a small town, you would say, vivo en un pueblo pequeño. If you're answering about yourself and your family, you would say, vivimos en un pueblo pequeño. We live in a small town. If you live in a big city, you would say, vivo en una ciudad grande. If you're answering about yourself and your family, you would say, vivimos en una ciudad grande. Now back to San Salvador. ¿San Salvador es una ciudad fea o una ciudad bonita? Is it an ugly city or a beautiful city? Es una ciudad bonita. It's a beautiful city. Daniel y Daniela finished the section with Somos estudiantes en el Colegio Internacional. We're students in the International High School, or at the International High School. An international high school is a school that promotes international education, or one that's set up to mirror the education of another country. For example, if you're from France but are living in Spain, you may want your kids to still be educated under the French education system. So you may have a French international school in your city that they could attend. These schools are ideal if you want to learn several languages. Most international schools will have instruction in French and English along with at least one other language. We do have some international schools in the United States. For example, this is the Baton Rouge International School in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. In this school, you can learn English, French, Spanish, Chinese, and Portuguese. ¿En cuál escuela son estudiantes Daniel y Daniela? What school are Daniel and Daniela students in? Remember, escuela is just the general word for school. Son estudiantes en el Colegio Internacional. Colegio is specifically high school. So, they're students in the International High School. ¿Su colegio es un colegio nacional o un colegio internacional? Su colegio es un colegio internacional. What about you? ¿Eres estudiante en un colegio internacional? Are you a student in an international high school? You could answer with, sí, soy estudiante en un colegio internacional, or no, no soy estudiante en un colegio internacional. ¿En cuál escuela eres estudiante? In what school are you a student? If you're in high school, you would say, soy estudiante en el colegio blank. For example, if you go to Roosevelt High School, you would say, soy estudiante en el colegio Roosevelt. If you're in college or a university, you would say, soy estudiante en la Universidad de blank. So, if you went to the University of Georgia, you would say, soy estudiante en la Universidad de Georgia. Excellent job. Let's read through the story one more time and then look at some questions and answers that you'll see in the activities for this story section. Nuestra madre se llama Marisol y nuestro padre se llama Marcos. Vivimos en San Salvador. San Salvador es la capital de El Salvador. Es una ciudad muy grande y bonita. Somos estudiantes en el Colegio Internacional. Let's look at some questions and answers that you'll see in the activities for this story. These questions will be a mixture of story questions, general questions, and personal questions. ¿Listos? ¿Cómo se llama su madre? Su madre se llama Marisol. ¿Cómo se llama su padre? Su padre se llama Marcos. ¿Marisol es su madre o su padre? Marisol es su madre. ¿Marcos es su madre o su padre? Marcos es su padre. ¿Marisol es un hombre o una mujer? Marisol es una mujer. ¿Marcos es un hombre o una mujer? Marcos es un hombre. ¿Cómo te llamas? Me llamo blank. ¿Cómo se llama tu madre? Mi madre se llama blank. ¿Cómo se llama tu padre? Mi padre se llama blank. ¿Cómo se dice nuestro en inglés? Se dice our. ¿Cómo se dice we are en español? Se dice somos. ¿Nuestro describe algo femenino o masculino? Nuestro describe algo masculino. Nuestra describe algo femenino o masculino. Nuestra describe algo femenino. ¿Se usa nuestro o nuestra para decir our mother? Se usa nuestra para decir our mother. Se usa nuestro o nuestra para decir our father. Se usa nuestro para decir our father. ¿Dónde viven los mellizos? Los mellizos viven en El Salvador. ¿Viven en México o en El Salvador? Viven en El Salvador. ¿Dónde vives? Vivo en blank. ¿Qué es San Salvador? San Salvador es la capital de El Salvador. ¿Cuál es la capital de El Salvador? San Salvador es la capital de El Salvador. ¿Cómo es San Salvador? San Salvador es una ciudad muy grande y bonita. ¿En cuál escuela son estudiantes Daniel y Daniela? Son estudiantes en el Colegio Internacional. ¿Cómo se llama su colegio? Su colegio se llama el Colegio Internacional. ¿De dónde eres? Soy de blank. ¿Eres un chico o una chica? Soy un chico. Soy una chica. ¿Cuándo es tu cumpleaños? Mi cumpleaños es el blank de blank. ¿Cuántos años tienes? Tengo blank años. ¿Eres estudiante? Sí, soy estudiante. ¿Tienes hermanos? Sí, tengo hermanos. No, no tengo hermanos. ¿En cuál escuela eres estudiante? Soy estudiante en el colegio blank. Soy estudiante en la universidad de blank. Again, make sure you go back and review all of these questions and answers until you feel comfortable with them and are ready to move forward. Now it's quiz time! I'm going to give you 20 questions and see how well you can answer them. You're going to need your journal or notebook and something to write with. They'll go by quickly, so pause and rewind as needed so you can write them down. Do your best and, of course, no cheating. Bien hecho! We'll see you again soon for your next lesson. Hasta luego!